We're in Chapter 5, which is all going to be about trigonometric ratios. 5.1 and 5.2, we're putting it together because it's a lot of review of grade 10 stuff. And we're going to do some special angles here. So this acute angles is, we already know that. That's a bit of the review that we're going to start with, and then we're going to head into the special angles. So we're kind of doing both sections at once. Pythagorean theorem, we already know this, but I want to refresh your memory. Right angles. Only for right angle triangles, has to be right angle. Doesn't work with other types of triangles. And if I had A and B, and this is C, we know that A equals square root of C squared minus B squared. And then C equals square root of A squared plus B squared, right? And we know these things from Pythagorean theorem. SOHCAHTOA, we know already. Right? And we already have the other videos with the review of grade 10, so I can go through faster. SOHCAHTOA, we know those are the ratios. Remember, you have to choose one angle as your reference angle. So if this is my reference angle, then this would be the opposite. If this is my reference angle here, this would be my adjacent, and this would be my hypotenuse. My hypotenuse is always opposite the 90 degree no matter what. So that's kind of never going to change. But if this is my reference, you always have to know which angle you're talking about. So it's my starting angle. Okay. Reciprocal identity, something new. So we're adding a little bit of review, so our review from before, and then reciprocal identities. Reciprocal is something new. You will have to use this. It's not super useful in terms of like calculating, but it helps you a little bit. Like what it does is it makes everything upside down. So you know how it's SOHCAHTOA. For reciprocal identities, it's SOHCAHTOA, but backwards. So it's like this. So cosecant is actually the reciprocal of sine, right? So cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. So then that means instead of O over H, it's H over O. It's backwards. O over H is H over O. For secant, the short form for secant is this. Oh, this is a new symbol. I don't think we use this a lot in grade 10. This theta, that's theta. And it's a Greek letter. They like to use Greek letters. Theta, beta, gamma, alpha, all these things that you hear like when you're talking about like sororities and stuff, right? So all those things, Greek letters, they like to use Greek letters for angles. And that's to honor because a lot of Greek mathematicians did a lot of stuff with angles and stuff like that. That's why, yeah.
So that's the same as sine as our negative one?
No. No, no. The sign with this little -1 means you're breaking it apart from the angle and you're finding from the ratio. So that's a different thing. This is not 1 over. It's not, okay, so it's not this. That's this. So the negative, remember we learned in chapter 4, means 1 over, so that's this. What's the sine -1 that you're talking about? That's on your calculator when you have this, right? So say equals 2 over 3, and you're breaking it apart. That's not this. That's when you're breaking this sine from its angle and you're bringing it over here. That's not the same thing as this. This is reciprocal, right? That's the whole thing to the -1. This means you're taking it from the angle, you're bringing it to the ratio. So that little -1 on your calculator is this, right, when you're finding angle. Does that make sense, the difference? It looks exactly the same. So that's why where you place this -1, it's between. It's not outside. And that's why whenever I'm like, it depends where you place it, where you place something in math, it makes a total difference in what it is. This is called a reciprocal function of it, which is what we're doing, reciprocal. And this is finding the angle. This is inverse. So this means inverse. This is reciprocal. Right? Good question. Right? So that is the same exact symbol. This is reciprocal, which is what we're doing. Yeah, good. So let's clarify that. So reciprocal is this. When it's outside and you're taking the whole thing and making it upside down, this is inverse. When you're inversing it to find the angle instead of the ratio. So this is inverse, and this is reciprocal. Yeah, good. Thank you. And sometimes I forget because I'm so used to it. I'm like, that's right, it's the exact same symbol. So this is inverse when you're breaking it apart to find the angle. That's what's on your calculator. We're doing now reciprocal, which means we're flipping it upside down. We're actually putting it in the denominator. Good? All right. So I want to point out a couple things. So the reciprocal of sine is called cosecant. The reciprocal of cos, I wrote that too big, is secant, which is the same thing. So if I read cos backwards, it's going to be the hypotenuse, right? So read it backwards, over adjacent. Does that make sense how I'm getting that? Okay, so then tell me, cotangent, the short form for that is COT, and then that symbol here with the circle with the slash halfway horizontally is theta, right? And again, they use these Greek letters a lot. You'll just see them start to use it, and it's to honor the Greek mathematicians who did a bunch of work on angles and trigonometry, so they use a lot of Greek. And that is the reciprocal, of tangent, okay? Which is, if you read this backwards, would be, what would that be then? A, so adjacent over opposite. You see how I'm reading it backwards? So it's SOHCAHTOA, but the other way. And again, I can't memorize something else. There's some short form, I don't know. I can't memorize another thing. SOHCAHTOA is it. I just read it backwards. Okay, so that's it. Now, let me point out a couple things that I wrote here. Very weird stuff. You're going to get used to it. We need this. So anyone taking advanced functions next year, we use this. Okay, and you've got to know reciprocal. So it's going to come up again. First thing, it's CSC is your short form. You always have to put the angle. You guys are you're getting used to a new notation. You tend to drop your angles. Every time you write one of these, your angle has to be beside it. You will lose marks if you drop your angles. A lot of times you go cosecant. And I'm like, of what? You have to remember, you need a reference angle of A, of B, of theta, of beta, of gamma, of which is your reference. Without knowing a reference angle, there is no opposite adjacent. There's nothing. You're just standing in the middle of a room and you're not pointing, right? So I need to know where you're standing and which way you're pointing. So you have to attach to each one of these has to be an angle. Theta, A, B, W, whatever, there has to be an angle attached. Okay, so number one. Now I'm going to mark that. And again, I don't know if grade 10, if your teacher, they should have been marking that wrong if you didn't have an angle attached. Second thing, this is CSC. Please do not spell it to me. Okay, I'm going to point something out. Mr. Someone read that to me. Just this. Mr. Zen stopped at Bloor Street. Am I right? Any arguments? That's actually how you pronounce my last name. Zen, right? Okay, we talked about that. Mr. Zen. Okay, are you going to read this sentence to me and say, Tazanga stopped at Bloor Sta? Promise? If you don't read it like that, then don't read this CSC. Stop spelling it. Certainly don't say Kuska. Please don't pronounce it to me. It's happened. This is why I'm pointing it out. The Kuska one? And I'm like, what are you saying? Is that sec? This is pronounced cosecant. Wait, hold on. I'm going to ask you this one. How do you say this? Don't say sin. Say sine. Yes, sine. Okay, don't say sin. If you say sin to me, I'm not answering. I'm going to make up stuff. You're going to ask me a question. I'm going to say, oh no, it's always hypotenuse over hypotenuse. What? There's no SOHCAHTOA. Never heard of it before. I'm going to just start. No, I'm kidding. I won't. But that's not sin. That's sine. Clear? Okay. So we know cos, right? We know tan. Okay, tan is tan. You're not going to make that one. So when you say this, please don't come up to me and say, the Kuska one, it's cosecant. Just say it. Just like you say Bloor Street. You don't say Bloor Sta, or do you? Is it cool to say Bloor Sta? No. You're going to say Bloor Street. People are like, math is weird. So is English. Here's weird too. You don't say Bloor Sta. Don't say Kuska. And here, don't say sec. Don't say the sec one. It's not sec. Secant. Just say the rest of the word. Just like this is not Merzent, it's Mr. You don't pronounce the letters. It's a short form. Okay? And again, I'm pointing it out because it happens, and that's why I need to make it stop happening. So that's cosecant. You have to memorize these. How do you memorize it? I don't know. I hate memorizing it. Cotangent's easy. So again, don't say cot. And again, I say this because it happens. People say the cot theta. No, no cot theta. Cotangent. Just say the rest of the word. Just like if you say MR, it's Mr. You don't say mer. So cotangent theta, secant theta, cosecant theta. Just say the word. Now, cotangent's easy to memorize because it's cotangent. It feels the way it sounds the way it feels. It's reciprocal of tan. Secant, again, think of whatever way you want to memorize it. I think it looks kind of backwards of cos. I don't know why. It doesn't help. It's not really logical, but it kind of looks backwards of cos. So I go, oh yeah, secant is kind of, it's 1 over cos. Whatever way you can to memorize it, you have to memorize it. Because these are, I'm not going to give these to you. You have to know. So I'll say, use the reciprocal, and you'll be like, what's reciprocal? And they're like, what? You didn't memorize those? The cuska sec? No, just the cosecant, you have to memorize it. So I'll say it's reciprocal, you have to know what they are. So secant is a reciprocal of cos. It looks like the backwards of cos to me, whatever way you want to remember it. Cosecant is the other one. Nothing helps me with that one. So I'm like, cotangent, I know. Secant looks like the backwards of cos. Cosecant is the other one, which is sine. You have to memorize these 3. Okay, so reciprocal of sine, reciprocal of cos, reciprocal of cotangent. There is no calculator button for these reciprocal ones. So you will, on your calculator, have to punch in, and that's why that was a good question at the beginning, 1 divided by, and then you'll do sine of whatever. So you're going to have to switch form, and you're going to go, why? Well, we're going to make you, just because. You're going to be like, is that useful? I don't know, not super useful, but you got to learn it. It's part of the curriculum, so you got to learn it. Okay, so you're going to have to, on your calculator, go 1 divided by. Not inverse, and we pointed that out, right? So it's different, yes, so that's good for pointing that out. Not inverse, it's 1 divided by that. All right, so there is no calculator button. Anything else I wanted to point out for this? That was it for that. All right. I'm going to stop.